Live from Waterford and Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
Good afternoon, I'm Sinead Aherne. Today's top stories. The Students' Union President in Carlow says everyone there wants the technological university to happen. Waterford Minister of State John Halligan says the government needs to stand up to the Chief Medical Officer and the HSE over the 2-metre rule. Fire crews from Tramore and Dunmore East tackled a number of blazes at Brownstown Head earlier this morning. And in sport, Liverpool defender Andy Robertson has praised his club for giving players a safe environment to train. The Students' Union President at IT Carlow says everyone at the college is working hard on the application for the South East Technological University. Yesterday it emerged that the application from Waterford IT and IT Carlow has yet to be submitted. There's fears the TU might not happen after a memorandum of understanding agreed by management at the colleges was rejected by unions in Carlow last June. Speaking to Damien Tiernan on Daysha today, SU President Thomas Drury says everyone at IT Carlow wants the TU to happen.
Everyone in IT Carlow are working so hard on submitting an application, getting everything we can working through. I mean, I know us in the Students' Union, we're working very close. We've created a student forum with senior management in WIT and in IT Carlow. And we meet with WIT Students' Union with both presidents and both registrars. And that happens very frequently, and they listen to us. Every question that we may have, they will answer. Both Students' Union in WIT and in ITCSU, we can see the work that is being done, and we can see they are aware that there is a need for a TU.
The Minister for Health is to appoint someone from his department to liaise with TDs and senators about the second cath lab for Waterford. It's after calls from independent TD Matt Shanahan, who told the Dáil that it's 20 months since the project was first approved. Deputy Shanahan believes that local Oireachtas members could provide support to ensure there are no further delays.
I believe everyone in this House understands well the significant COVID pressures that are dominating health planning at present, Minister. But I think appointing a department liaison available to South East Oireachtas members will deliver enormous comfort to the people of Waterford and the South East while we await the second cardiac catheterisation laboratory and the improved standard of regional care it will help to deliver.
Minister Simon Harris agrees.
Yes, is the short answer. I'll arrange for somebody in the department to liaise with the South East deputies. We have quite a good arrangement back when we were all allowed to meet in person in the last Oireachtas, and I'd be very eager to keep that up, where we bring the local representatives together to try and provide us with the benefit of the local knowledge and the local connections that they have on the ground to get this project moving. I want to see the delivery of this cath lab. I do note those new timelines you talk about. I know the contractor selection is underway. The tender is going to be completed during the summer months and then construction commence in the autumn, but there can't be any more slippage. I get that, and I know we're all eager to see that delivered.
The Health Minister says the public health advice remains to keep 2 metres apart. It's after a junior minister called for the easing of restrictions to be accelerated and for the 2-metre rule to be reduced to 1. Waterford's John Halligan says that the lockdown should be dictated by the government and not by public health officials, as Kim Buckley reports.
Yesterday, the Chief Medical Officer, Dr Tony Holohan, told Cabinet Ministers there were no plans to change the 2-metre rule. That's despite the World Health Organisation advising that a 1-metre distance is safe. Junior Minister John Halligan says if the guidelines are changed, it would be easier for schools and businesses to reopen. He says it should be the government who's calling the shots.
The lockdown cannot be exclusively dictated by health. Governments make decisions, and they have to look at the long-term health effects on people after this lockdown and, of course, the economic devastation that will ensue.
The head of the HSE, Paul Reid, said that a 1-metre rule would allow for more capacity in emergency rooms and outpatient departments in hospitals, but he said the HSE would be following public health advice.
1 metre gives us more capacity in terms of bringing people in, but ultimately it's a public health guided decision, and we'll work to that.
Professor of Biochemistry at Trinity College, Luke O'Neill, said the risks need to be weighed up.
The closer you are, the increase the risk is. It's obvious. And if you're 2 metres away, you have a much lower risk of catching it than if you're 1 metre away. And the question is, how much risk do you want to bear?
This morning, the Health Minister, Simon Harris, tweeted that the public health advice remains to keep 2 metres apart to keep well and save lives.
Gardaí will be out in force in Waterford City and County this bank holiday weekend to ensure current COVID-19 restrictions are enforced. Superintendent Paul O'Driscoll of the Tramore Garda Division says up to now the cooperation from the public has been brilliant.
The 5k movement is in place at the moment, and it will be now until the 8th of June when it moves to 20k. At the moment we do have quite a number of rolling checkpoints throughout the 24-hour period in the locality, in Tramore and right across the county of Waterford in fact. Coming closer to the weekend, it is the June bank holiday weekend, now it's fast approaching. My plan is to turn some of those rolling checkpoints into static checkpoints.
There's one confirmed case of COVID-19 at University Hospital Waterford. The HSE's daily operations update shows 6 patients are awaiting the results of testing as of 8 o'clock last night. There's no confirmed or suspected cases in UHW's critical care unit. TDs are debating giving the Department of Social Protection an extra €6.8 billion. The department is due to run out of money next week because of the COVID-19 wage support programmes. €4.3 billion of the revised estimate is going towards the pandemic unemployment payment and the wage subsidy scheme. Social Protection Minister Regina Doherty says the Dáil needs to approve the revised budget to keep those payments going.
And I'm referring not just to the payments related to the pandemic, but also all of our ordinary payments. Child benefit, pensions, carers payments, payments to lone parents, payments to people with disabilities and much more besides, including our community employment and indeed all of our employment services and indeed our carers respite grant, which is due next week. Because without the approval today we can't proceed to make the necessary arrangements next week to process the due payments and all of our payments would cease.
Fire crews from Tramore and Dunmore East tackled several blazes at Brownstown Head earlier this morning. A call was received at around 6:25 about a gorse fire. 2 units arrived on the scene and the blazes were extinguished at around 8:30. Sinn Féin councillor Jim Griffin says young people were partying in the area.
There was a party, a group of teenagers congregated there last night and they seemed to have some kind of a celebration going on. But in the very early hours this morning, Tramore Fire Service were alerted what they thought was fire coming from, or smoke coming from the Tramore sand dunes. But on investigation they discovered that it was over in the Saline and it was substantial enough. When they got on scene there was at least 6 or 7 areas of the dune system there on fire.
He says conditions for the crews were difficult.
They had to get the fire tenders down through several fields that were set for silage. So they had to navigate a bit of rough terrain and also to get on scene. But in fairness to their expertise and their professionalism, they got it under control within about an hour and a half or 2 hours. And by the time I got down to them, everything was under control apart from the mess. And I would stress the mess. Unbelievable dozens and dozens of alcohol bottles strewn over a wide area.
People in Waterford are being urged to stay safe if they're taken to the water this week. There's no lifeguards on duty at our beaches yet, and water temperatures are around half of what the air temperature is. Lola O'Sullivan is the chair of Water Safety Ireland Waterford.
We just want to remind people that if they are going to particularly the beaches, that the water temperature, although the air temperature is quite warm at the moment, the water temperature is still quite cold. It's only in at about 12 degrees at the moment. So there is a temptation to cool down, so we're appealing to people not to swim out too far, to stay within their depth, to swim in places which are known to them and which are safe to swim in, and that when they are going particularly to the beach, to keep children supervised at all times when they're near water.
She says people should not be travelling outside of their 5k limit yet.
We're still currently in phase 1, so nobody should be swimming outside their 5k limit. And in relation to Waterford and Wexford and many of the coastal counties, lifeguards are presently not on duty this weekend. Due to the coronavirus, the councils haven't had the opportunity to recruit at the moment, and it will be the following weekend in phase 2 before the lifeguards are on duty.
WLR Sport, Ireland's local station of the year.
Starting with soccer, where Liverpool defender Andy Robertson has praised his club for giving players a safe environment to train. The Scotland international also has no concerns about returning to contact training. Players are now allowed to tackle, but also have to minimise any unnecessary close contact during sessions. Robertson says he feels safe and can't wait to get playing matches again as soon as possible.
All the protocols that the club have taken out have been second to none, and they've made that a safe environment for us to come and train. And I don't think there's a safer place where we can be. hopefully, we're following everything, no stone is left unturned. Hopefully get playing back soon because, we've done really well so far.
2 Fulham players and 1 person from another Championship club have tested positive for COVID-19. It follows the latest round of coronavirus screening by the Football League as it aims to return to playing matches again in the next couple of months. More than 1,000 players and staff were tested across all 24 of the division's teams. In rugby, IRFU boss Philip Brown admits there could be player wage cuts due to the financial impact of the coronavirus pandemic. The union is facing millions in lost revenue if there's no rugby played this year. Meanwhile, Rugby Union's world governing body says it'll allow leagues to temporarily change some of the sport's rules. It means reset scrums could be scrapped and limits being imposed on rucks and malls to help reduce the risk of COVID-19 transmission. World Rugby says any law changes will have to be trialled first in line with its return to play guidance. WLR asking you to stay at home. Our next bulletin is at 2.